Hello, fellows. Good to see everybody. I was about to respond to some comments on the YouTube page, and then I figured, fuck it, I'll just respond on video. It's faster and maybe even more fun. There's been a bunch of comments the last couple of days on some of these videos, so let's get started. This is talking about is Kratos, the new Kratos, kind of boring. This guy says, Sergey, whatever. I can't understand how someone can dislike Ragnarok and the relationship that Kratos and Atreus have. That game is an absolute masterpiece and nothing about it should be changed. I know. I agree. Nothing should be changed. I don't care if you can't understand how I don't like it as much as you do. I've been very clear that I think it's a wonderfully made game and I'm in the minority, but no, I don't really care for it, mostly because of the pacing. And I also am kind of don't like the character anymore. Personally, I'm glad David Jaffe can't do God of War anymore. I stopped trusting him after all the lies used to sell Twisted Metal. I'm not entirely sure what he means. Then I go on and I says extremely stupid and racist thing. Really? I don't know what he's talking about. Thank you, Vlad. You can't say I don't give a fuck and next say I mean no disrespect. Yes, you can. A, because I just did, and B, because I can be honest about something, and that honesty about the product is I don't give a fuck. I mean no disrespect means I've made a lot of things people don't give a fuck about. But that doesn't mean that they have to be disrespectful to me, like a lot of these fuckers in the comments. So I think you can very much say them. You ain't showed Blade reaction, dude. I didn't have much of a reaction to Blade. I really didn't. I'll play it if it gets good reviews and people talk about it a lot, but I'm not a huge Blade fan. The movies are cool. I liked him in Midnight Suns. The character's cool, but I don't, it's melee combat with some supernatural powers. I'm sure it'll be great, and I'm interested in what Arcane's going to do with it just because, they're probably not going to make a straight-up beat-em-up. It's going to be much more interesting just given their pedigree. So I'm interested, but there's not much to react to. I mean, it's like, okay, standing by. This guy says, I'm going back to Kratos being boring. He says the guy, meaning me, who hasn't made a good game in 10 years. I know. Well, I liked Drawn to Death, but I know what you're saying. It certainly wasn't a successful game. So, you do nothing, Tony B. That's not even your real name. So, I've always found this fascinating that people who make the shit, whether it's the direct shit, like, God of War that I had a hand in, or just some other part of the medium, we're the ones that it's like we have to pass your little stupid fucking test, Tony B, whether we can comment on something. But you, who is a non-contributing zero, clearly has the right to say whatever he wants. I think you should sit down and have a nice cold glass of shut the fuck up. That's what I would suggest to you, sir. This was funny to me because I got a number of comments like this talking about, I was like, oh, I was comparing Kratos and Indiana Jones going, I don't really like the who he's become. And I said in the 2018 game, which I loved, the idea was so interesting and worth exploring that I really did enjoy that. But once that game was over and I got to experience the character again in Ragnarok, I don't think he's a very good character. I'm not saying that his maturation, if he was a real human being, or if you were reading like a novel, a character-driven novel, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. It absolutely would. But A, just because that makes sense doesn't mean that character is commercially interesting, compelling intellectual property. If I were to pitch you Kratos as he is today without the baggage, I don't know about you, but I'd go, I don't want to play that guy. I don't want to play some old fucking mopey dude, right? He's just he's not fun. I get that, Han Solo's mostly fun, but every now and then he has a little bit of pathos and angst. That's cool. But this is, it's a more realistic take, and that's fine if you like that. But that's, and it's fine if the singular story, and I know you could argue, and it's fine to assume this, that all the God of Wars make up one story. Fine. But this, it's not like these seeds were planted in the first 3 or 4 games, and so we knew this is where it was going. And so it doesn't really feel like it feels like a very clever, very smart idea to do 2018 the way they did it. But I don't feel like, oh, finally, we've been knowing we've been heading to this arc for a very long time. And so in that, no, it doesn't. It feels like you've taken a character, or they've taken a character who, is like a comic book character or a big budget movie character, like James Bond or Indiana Jones or whatever, and they're like, let's now strip away aspects of the commercial and the beloved IP, and let's make it more realistic, which again is fine. But it's not. I don't like it. Like after Ragnarok, not after Ragnarok, after 2018's God of War, I was like, okay, I got my fill. I really liked it, but I don't really have any interest in this character anymore. He's really not compelling to me. And the other thing is that people think, oh, yes, I'm aware that Kratos wasn't growing from a standpoint of an IP. I don't think that's a character issue. I think granted it is, but I don't think, like I've said before, Spider-Man doesn't really grow. James Bond, a little bit, but doesn't really grow. But there are enough moving parts to those adventures that there's something or some character that is changing and growing, and there's a satisfaction while still allowing you to get the intellectual property that you came to see and came to watch and came to play. But the most frustrating thing is when people come at me acting as if I'm just immature. Like they love this line. They love this narrative of like, well, I was a kid. I was in my teens and 20s with Kratos, and now I've grown up and I've matured. It's like, great. Okay, but there's a difference between being childlike in certain aspects of your life and having a stick up your ass. Okay? You can be a fully functioning adult. I have 2 children. I've had mortgages. I've had companies. I've lived an adult life. But that doesn't mean that I put away the things that are still very much fun for my 20-year-old self. Why would you do that? That seems like your parents telling you what you're supposed to be, and you're like shoving, because nobody ever loses interest in all of the stuff they loved as a kid. That's a ridiculous, pathetic thing. And so, yes, for me, I'd like to take Kratos out for a spin as a, anti-hero. But even without that, even without my own personal likes and dislikes, I just don't think, I think if they wanted to continue with this, they really should have taken Kratos at the end of 2018 and kind of planted him on a path that would lead him to be a really cool, compelling character again, even though he could be different. But I just find him now, he's very mopey and pouty, and everything's it's like he's just a depressing emo guy to be around. He's not fun. He's not interesting. He's just like, everything sucks. I'm mad all this. It's almost like he went from being mad and aggressive, but aggressive can be fun, to just being, now he's just depressed. Who wants to play that? Not me. Yeah, look at this guy. He says, hard to disagree. The newer portrayal of Kratos is far more interesting than when he was just an edgelord killdozer. When you're teens to early 20s, I think the whole grim and gritty shtick hits easier. But for my part, as I've gotten older, I've come to regard that as, I don't know, something. Where did he go? He says, I've come to regard that as sort of shallow. It's not shallow. It's an embracing of simplicity that makes the experience for people like me, not shallow people. Trust me, I'll fucking go toe to toe with you when it comes to literature and politics and philosophy and it's not like, oh, I hate all that stuff. And I hate when you try to paint people that still can enjoy the childlike stuff like that, because an actual adult doesn't give a fuck what society considers mature. They just do the things that they like, and they are also adult in their responsibilities. But, and again, that's just not who Kratos is. It is now, but I'm just saying I don't like it. You left God of War, and now you are criticizing how it's done and made and what direction it's taken. Sounds like a bitter man's talk. It's not bitter. I don't care. I don't want to work on God of War anymore, but I am a hardcore gamer, and I know a hell of a lot more about God of War than you do, and I have a lot more connection to it than you do, and so I think my opinion is worth sharing on my own personal YouTube channel. Take a seat, bitch. Yes, if you understand about character development. I do understand about character development, but this is again, I understand character's arc in a single story. Intellectual properties for mass consumption rarely arc. And when they do, you get Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull and Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. And that's not what most people wanted, and we understand. All right. But I appreciate the commentary. I appreciate the communication. I appreciate the discussion with those of you who were disagreeing, but still relatively decent humans in your disagreement. I can't say that for a lot of you. A lot of you guys need to fucking grow the fuck up, but in a real way of being mature. Like you can't handle that someone has a different opinion. You can't handle. It's crazy to me. It makes me wonder about you people. Not all of you people. What do you mean you people? Shh, let's be quiet now. Be well, folks. I'll see you soon. Bye.